It's not a rule.
Yeah. Okay. This is
It's
so I'm just yeah. Okay. Cool. Because the
I'll
bylaw
second
says
we can talk about it next time. I like it.
I'm going to make a motion to immediately consider it and vote.
Yeah, that sounds good. I have a couple questions, though. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Will the board be the ones that decide who gets it from the nominated coaches? It'd be us, right?
Well, the reason why I came up with this was I had there was a bug in the system. I forget who I was playing, but they basically skipped a turn, gave me back, and I thought, that's exactly what the MML is all about. And if we start to, really highlight coaches that do that sort of stuff, and it was in the farm. It's not a pro game or anything, but I just thought, how can we try and boost that sort of behaviour, give ourselves a point of difference to other groups, and I just thought, well, if we have a sportsmanship award, we can make a piece. They get on the website, and it's an award that goes down on a weekly basis, just during the league. So that was really the thing. So it would be up to any coach can nominate any coach during that week. Those nominations will go into us as a board, and we as a board would then, if there's more than one, decide which is the more deserving nomination, and then that would be ruled that way.
Right, and they don't actually receive any. They receive formal
status.
Yeah.
It's just status.
I just don't want us to start it and then kind of forget about it and go on. I want to, we should at least make sure we're committed to it if we're going to vote on it, which I think it's a good idea.
I am absolutely committed to it, and I'm quite prepared to take the can on this one.
so. Breach. Can I just make a quick point of order here? The bylaws as they currently stand say that stuff that's going to be a rule is voted on through the formal proposal process, but everything else is basically within the commissioner's power to administratively execute. So if you want to handle it this way, which is
exactly I did. It's not a thing. It was an award proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can let us vote it this way if you want. I'm just pointing out that if you wanted to, you could just do this without running it through the proposal process.
Right. I know. I'm aware. I didn't write it, so I want to go through the process.
Cool. That being said, can I bring up that since we only meet every 2 weeks, this will take. We just have to commit that we will.
I mean, we could do this. We could do this on a 2 weekly timeline as well. Maybe that's probably better.
We have the board chat. We can do. We don't have to
talk
about it.
I think we can just talk about it in the chat. That'll be just fine.
Yeah, that's not. It's easy. That should be easy to do on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Cool. I agree.
Okay.
I'm cool with it if you guys want to commit to do that. That's cool. I'll commit too.
Any other objections to this? I think it's great.
I think it's great, but we might have trouble finding people on a regular weekly basis.
Well,
I'll get it every week. That's no problem.
Then you'll get it right. Default is Hez.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good then.
Are you going to extend this? Are you just doing the pros, or would you do the challenge league, or would you do the whole league? Like, let's say for example, like there's a. I'll pick on. I don't know. Let's say for example there is somebody who comes next week, but just by proxy of nobody who is in, like they can't get in the challenge league, they can't get in the pro league, but they're really involved. Would you extend this to anybody that's involved with the MML, or just our pros, or just our pro challenge league?
For me, since we're only trying to exhibit behaviour, it's anyone who does anything in the MML.
I'm on board with that. Anybody.
I agree.
Me too.
I believe we should name this award the Chris James Award.
Oh, that's perfect.
Do you guys know
that is perfect?
Evidently, some of you didn't know. A lot of people didn't know. Chris James is a real dude. Do you guys know that?
Yes.
Okay.
I figured he's a real dude, but I am not familiar.
Yeah. If you didn't, he's a real guy. I've actually been talking with him on Facebook.
I've been stalking your conversations with him.
Have you? Yeah. My goal is to get him in the MML. That's my goal. So if you're listening,
dude, please, can we name this the Chris James Award? Oh my God.
So anyway, I'll leave that up to Thundon. But anyway,
it's not his last name though. James is not his last name,
it's not.
So it's not like it. You wouldn't be able to look at the Chris James Award and automatically know it's him if you weren't.
Okay.
Who is Chris James?
Well, we could go into that another time.
Musical
Yeah,
artist
well,
is what I pulled.
we'll
The CJ Remembers Award.
yeah. Stay
Okay.
tuned afterwards, and I'll tell
CJ
you.
remembers.
Okay.
Stay tuned afterwards.
CJ
I'll tell you.
remembers.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm good with this. If there are no, we don't even need to vote on this by proclamation. This goes in unless somebody has an objection. Once, twice. All right, Thundon, it's yours. You got it.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'll think about the name of it, guys.
Okay, so consideration and action of referred proposals. So now we're going to talk about the things we proposed last time. We have 1003, the complete games, and 1004, the disconnected games. I'm going to make a motion to save us some time on these two ones. I'm going to make a motion. I'm the writer of these. I'm going to make a motion to withdraw 1004, which is the disconnected games, and amend it to 1003. Basically, instead of two separate proposals, I'm going to make it as one so that we don't have to talk about them separately. You guys can either say yay or nay, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. But that way we don't have to talk about them separately.
I will second.
Technically, as the writer, you can just do that, Preach.
I know, but
You don't have to.
I know. I'm telling you what I'm doing, though.
Okay.
Is anybody?
I'm good with that.
Anybody have a problem with that? Because I know there was some things where these should go together, and it wouldn't make sense to get one and not the other. So I'm just going to lump them together, and then we can talk about them together. Is that all right?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay. So the first one. So as a whole, then it is a game is considered complete when 2/3 of the total turns have been completed. That means once 11 turns are complete, then both team complete for both teams, and the game is considered a complete game. And then coaches who have games that are disconnected due to a server disconnecting issue should make every effort to replay. They're not obligated to do so. And disconnected games that are also complete games would be considered a concede or a league managed match by the league, i.e. things that aren't complete games would not be considered a concede or league managed match by the league for the disconnecting team. Discussion.
Other than disconnects, why do we even need to determine if something is a complete game?
We don't.
Because
Well,
the
there-
only thing that I see that affecting it is a disconnect.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's joining it into it. So basically, as I understand it, the real rule here at issue is that a game that is 11 turns, has gone 11 turns, and then disconnects afterwards will count as a concede LLM by the league for the disconnecting team. He's just defining those terms in order to clarify the rule.
It would save us from having to do any sort of resolution or dispute if, say, in turn 14, somebody disconnected.
So is this open for discussion now, or?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. So, as a person who lives in a high volume area of people, I have experienced disconnects. I mean, they're not frequent, but they're frequent enough that it could happen. It actually did happen during a pro game, and I've also been on the other side of it where it happened to the person I was playing. So, especially because you only get 2 per season, if your game was beyond your control to disconnect for you twice during the regular season, then you have a mandatory 1 year sitting out period, or 1 season sitting out period, where you drop to at least the challenge league. And if you're in a challenge league, you're back to the farm system. I would not be in favor of this, like, heavily. And then also there's an issue with, well, what happens if you are, let's say you're winning, you're up 3-0, and you're in turn 15, the game's just about wrapped up, and then you disconnect. Now all of a sudden you have a loss. So, I mean, I've heard some coaches say that they've never had disconnect issues with the PS network, and they seem to actually come from Europe, so maybe something's better about the network out there. But out here in the US, disconnects, blue screens, that kind of stuff happens all the time. So I would not be in favor of this.
Yeah, I don't know if I like being so black and white. I think we need to have different situations, or every situation is always different. I don't know. I don't think I could be in favor. It's that sometimes when you disconnect, and you're in a advantageous position, your opponent's probably not going to want to replay. They're like, oh, you just give me the win. But if it's like, why would you disconnect if you're ahead? Well, I don't know. I think we need to. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, and to piggyback on like, something that we could do is like, and it's I'll take the hit on this. Like, I just haven't had time to actually host this meeting. I've got like a working group of people together. Like, I really want to put together like guidelines that say to coaches, when you disconnect, here are the things that should kind of guide your behavior, right? And then kind of try to spell out the circumstances. And maybe one of those things would be, you spell out some things that may factor into it, and you could say, every situation is different, and you guys should figure it out. But here's the behavior that could guide you, and then only in the utmost, then you set the after you've established the guidelines, in the utmost disputable circumstances, you have the board rule on it, given and do another one of the memos.
Okay.
Not to create work for you guys, but
Anybody else have any thoughts on this one?
I think if you said that, I was thinking.
so whoever that is talking is cutting out.
Go ahead, Don. Don is trying to talk. Go ahead, Don.
I agree with Hazard. Can't vote in favor.
Don's breaking up. All I heard was that he agrees with me, and that's good. That's good. That's all I need to hear.
That's all I heard too.
Yeah, I'm having some.
Tuna steaks.
He's having some.
As long as it's not tuna out of the can.
Oh God.
All right. Shots or Rez, you got anything to add on this one?
No.
No.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So what were you saying, Don?
So I was just saying that I agree with Hazan serious jests, and that I can't vote in favor of this. That's it.
All right. Let me ask this: is anybody going to vote? Well, let's just do this. We'll have our first official vote. That way, Rez can feel good about contributing. I gotta make a. All right. So I'm gonna call to vote, unless there's anybody else who has commentary. Preach is a nay. Thunden.
Nay.
Shots.
No.
Seston.
Nay.
Just.
Nay.
Don.
No.
Hez.
No.
Rez.
Caveat that I
No.
don't think this is over. We need to keep addressing it and figure something out, but I don't know that this is the solution.
Agreed.
Well, Justice putting a group together that's to
Yeah,
put
I'm
some
looking
ideas on
forward
the
to that.
table.
That's
So,
what he said. That's what he was saying. See, I cut out,
Yeah.
and all I heard was my name at the end from Justin. I didn't hear what he was saying.
Yeah.
So okay. I'm
so
on
he,
board.
he's working on an idea that should be able to flesh it. I don't know how official it'll be. It might just be like general guidelines, but that'll we're working on. He's working
It'll
on
at
something.
least be a
to-
discussion.
For him to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm putting together. So far, we have 5 people. And I'm putting together five people right now. Anybody's willing to join, and the purpose is basically just to flush out what the issues would be that come to disconnects, and from that, hopefully, one or more of us can put together like a solid proposal for guidelines and all that stuff. And if somebody else comes out of that with a different opinion, then they can put their own together as well, and then we'll at least have some good flushed out ideas that through a bunch of people kind of thinking together can at least identify what the issues are that need to be decided and what doesn't need to be decided.
Okay. Moving on. Not to cut you off, but
No,
I
it's
I
good.
know I want to be respectful of our Eastern brethren's time, because it's as Thunden said earlier, it's a school night. So
Wake up, Don and Thunden.
yeah. So 10:06 for consideration postseason matchups. This was submitted last time by Sustin. Changed the postseason to divisional playoffs, followed by a matchup between East and West champs. Top 4 of each division enter in a 2-round divisional playoff competition. After division championships have been decided, the champions meet in the East versus West MML championship to decide the season's MML champion. This is opposed to the 8 full-team playoff system that serves two purposes. First and foremost, it prevents the first 2 rounds of playoffs from having East versus West matchups and takes a longer time to schedule. Second, in the occasional event that one division is more competitive than the other, the top competitors from the weaker division have a much greater chance of making it to the overall MML championship, masking any difference in divisional competitiveness. And discuss.
First, just to clarify, Seston, the rule is just the first 2 sentences, right? The last 2 is for
Commentary.
that's just first.
Yeah, it's
so what'll go into the
explanation, right? Yeah.
Okay, so
Explanation.
what'll go into the actual rule change is just the first 2 sentences.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? So I have 2 questions.
first-
One, Preach, are you okay with this? Because you're going to be the ones that has to set up all the competitions, and I know in the past it's been troublesome setting up the competitions, getting people invited in.
So you're asking if I'm good with this?
Yeah, because it's 3 competitions instead of 1.
The answer
question.
is no. I don't like this at all because I think splitting up the league in an East versus West breaks down what the MML really stands for. And I know you could probably argue that we have an East and a West divisions. We do schedule things that way. It is a byproduct of where we live geographically in an attempt to get us to move things along. I get that. That's a good counter argument to what I just said. However,
Sorry, I disconnected. I apologize.
that's all right. However, what I want to do is, or what I want to avoid is the East. What I really want to avoid, and even though I very jokingly and sometimes not call the East the pillow fighters. Are you chopping steaks, Seston? You like making some?
Kind of.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
no, you're
fiddling
fine.
with stuff.
What I'm trying to say is I want to avoid, or I would want to avoid the like world, the world championship thing where it's the East versus the West, it's the U.S. versus the U.K., it's the North versus the South type thing where you have everybody compartmentalized competing against each other, and then they send their best team to go combat the other best team. To me, that's not really awesome. Yeah, thanks. That's what I was looking for. So that's my personal view on this particular thing.
Okay, I think I got cut off, so I don't think I expressed my question. Is it play pool, the top 2 from your play pool, or is it divisional winners? Does that make sense? Or or the conference winners. I'm sorry.
As written now, it'd be the top 2 divisional winners. So whoever took the top 4 teams of each division. So the top 4 teams from the U.S. and the top 4 teams from the U.K.
I get confused because so we have. I'm in a conference, right. So it has nothing to do with your conference or your play pool. It's only your division.
It would
Well,
be.
I mean, that's a completely different instance. But as of the way we're doing it right now, it is the top 2 from both play pools.
So that's what I'm asking. Would it be the top 2 from both play pools play each other, and then they play the winner of the other top 2 play pools, and then
Yes.
they play the last person?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
As opposed to what we do now, and we take the top 2 from all the play pools and put them into
And
one
just
place.
Mash them together. It's the same teams making the playoffs. It's just a different format.
Well, it's the same teams making the playoffs, but those same teams are not going to be playing.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a random grab bag. They play a specific team, and it's the team.
Well, it's still random. It's just random with the 4 instead of with the 8.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So the 4 are thrown into a play pool, or the 4 are thrown into a mini
Yes.
playoff. The other 4 are thrown into a mini playoff, and then the winner faces.
Yes.
Yes.
The pro of this is that, like Seston put it, so you're gonna you get match if you play in the West and you made that commitment because of the time restraints, then you're not gonna get put in a situation where you have a team that plays like in Italy. Like when I try to play, for example, Pong or something, it's very hard to schedule that. Or when I was trying to play, or I didn't, but if I had to play like Shaky, it's a lot harder to schedule. So then it makes the playoffs. The theory is that it makes the playoffs go faster.
Right.
And just to clarify your earlier question, as far as so Preach Express, he doesn't think, as the commissioner and the founder, he doesn't think that that's really in the spirit of the MML. From a technical standpoint, though, does it bother you to have to do 2 or 3 separate competitions, Preach?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be 2 competitions,
No.
3 competitions.
Nope. That's not the issue.
Just my 2 cents. I think it's a really interesting proposal, Seth. The only reason why I probably wouldn't vote for it is that part of the reason why I love the ML and what we've got going on here is we're a truly global league. And I like the fact that I might be matched up with someone in the States or someone in South America in the playoffs, if I make them. But yeah, that's something that I really value. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't go with this. But I think it's a really interesting idea.
I will say in favor of it, and again, I was clearly in favor of it until I heard Preach say what he said. But the pro of it is that this really is the cleanest way to make the playoffs go faster. This is
I see the benefit for the playoff thing, but
Yep.
I think we've always managed to get the playoffs done. Sometimes it's tricky, but on the whole, we're generally pretty good with it.
I would like to throw out that for what it's worth, I get that I hold a position and the founder and blah blah blah. I get that, but please don't think that if I say this I don't like this, that you guys can't argue against. I mean, if it's a really good idea and it merits the stuff, I mean, we should discuss it, even though I might be against it. I mean, if I'm really against it, I'll veto the sucker, and then we can still do it if that's how it goes, and that's why we have the whole thing. But don't let my comments. Maybe I should go last if that's the case. But don't let my comments sway other people. But if you do want my perspective,
Yeah, I don't think anybody in here would be swayed by anybody. I think everybody is pretty strong-minded and opinionated.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, no, but it matters. I mean, to me, it matters to hear what the vision was, and maybe it's something I haven't considered before. So now, hearing what he said, I can see that point of view, and I wasn't really looking at it that way.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of.
Me too. I wasn't looking at it that way either.
Fair enough.
But it's still a good thing for us to discuss.
Right.
Well, I still
Yeah,
like it. I think
totally.
it's a good idea.
You think it is or it isn't?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I play everybody in the farm, and I only play people in the East when I play most of my matches, and then when we get a bowl game, we can be paired against anybody. I would like to see as many bowl games as possible be East versus West. But as far as the playoffs go, I think it's the best way to get a true champion. I think it's a good way. You find out who the best in the East is, who the best in the West is, and let them play. This one instance, this last spot, this last thing that we do isn't about, I get the whole point of the MML, but it's about having a champion, and I think that's the coolest or best way to find a champion. But that's just my opinion.
I'll give you a counter argument to that, though, Hez. I mean, I don't know that it's the best way, because if you have 8 teams going in, right, and you have if the top 4 teams, if you have all 8 of those teams and you line them up and you put them all in one bucket and you say, I need the top 4 teams, and you pull those top 4 teams out, and every single one of those teams is in the East and the bottom 4 are in the West, then you're going to have what is essentially the worst playing the worst and the best playing the best, and then you're going to take the best of the worst and put them against the best of the best. And that's going to be your championship game. Whereas if you take all of them and you put them in a bucket and now I get that it's random. I really wish we could seed things. Then it would be a completely different thing altogether.
Right, exactly. Seeding would be fantastic.
We could seed them. That would just be more work for you, the tournament organizer. Or if you gave us,
Or us, yeah.
yeah, you could give us some ability to create events. I mean, I think the best way to do it is just like, and people are going to make fun of me, is just like the international hockey tournaments go. I think the best way to do it is to take the first place team, pair up play pools, right? So this Eastern play pool and this Western play pool are together. And the first place team from the East plays the second place team from the West. And the first place team from the West plays the second place team from the East. And then play that down, with the other 2 play pools.
Sure.
I may not be making sense.
I understand it because I get the loop, but
Yeah,
Preach, can I ask you this? Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
What we have, I think this is better than what we're doing, in my opinion.
Really quickly, we did have a period in the MML season 3 or something where you guys were doing a bunch of different play pools for the playoffs. Why was the decision made to go away from that?
I don't remember that happening.
I don't either.
No.
It wasn't always drop them all into one play pool. You guys were doing.
Here, guys. Not to cut you off, Just. But I think this is one of those where looking at this rule, it brings to sharp light that yes, we want faster playoffs. That is the advantage that we're looking for. We don't know what the best way to get that is. We feel that matching East, West would do that, but we can simply, if we can get everybody to commit to do their best to get the games in, it doesn't matter who you play. It doesn't matter what play pool you're in or any of that kind of stuff. It's to the point where if everybody puts in the effort, yes, maybe one game does lag behind a little bit, but if people put in the effort, it's not a huge issue. In season 2, there was only 4 teams in the playoffs, and that was something where a lot of people got left out, and it expanded to 8, and that slowed it up quite a bit too. So it's one of those where we, with trying to do different things, we do also have to realize that it's something that we're trying to make a lot of people happy, and it's not necessarily easy. So it's one of those where I think as a group, we have 8 teams in the playoffs. We have several in bowl games, and then we also have half the league that didn't get a bowl game or playoff that they really want to get back into it. So it's one of those where right now we're dealing with half the league is waiting. A bunch of people have bowl games, and then 8 teams right now have playoff games. So we're looking at 8 teams that are really, if they're committed, the matchups really don't make a difference then. So
I agree. I agree with you. The coaches should be committed to playing the games quickly. I mean, when you only have 8 teams, you should be able to do it. I'm a fan of the East versus West thing. I get why people aren't. I understand that, but that's just where I'm at.
All right. Any more discussion, or is there a motion to vote?
One option I'd like to lay out there is if this isn't going to pass, right? If you guys aren't if you guys aren't inclined to pass it right now because you think there might be a better idea, that's where I am. I'd like to kind of table it until we've examined other ideas, because if we vote it down, then it won't be eligible to come back for another year or something like that.
But just you're voting this wording down. You could propose propose a whole new postseason matchup thing. I mean, technically anything else that you would propose would not be this. There would be no reason to table this because we're essentially combining East and West.
Even if we
that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be in favor of it now, thinking that there might be a better way. But if we examine the other things, and I'd be willing to come back to this. But we could always override that rule anyway.
Right, we can vote it in, and if we find another way, we can vote a new one in before we even use this one. So
that's true.
That's
true too.
Yeah.
All right. So, any motion to vote?
I make a motion we vote.
I'll second
that.
Okay. We'll go the other way. Rez, pass, no pass?
I vote pass.
Pass. Hez?
Pass.
Donegal?
No.
Just?
I really thought I was going to come in saying pass, but I'm going to say no pass.
Seston?
Pass.
Shots?
Nay, no pass.
Thunden?
Nay.
And Preach is a nay. So we got 5-3, no pass.
That was close. Mostly we have 100%.
Yep. Which would lead everybody to believe that we would. This is something worth our discussion.
Yeah,
I like to be
definitely
contrarian.
No. Okay, moving on. Next we have 1007 4.1 revisions by Serious Just. All teams are entitled to the Pro TV cap may purchase one player from the farm during each open transfer market period immediately preceding a season for which they are registered. All other teams, i.e. farm teams or farm to pro teams, may purchase and sell players freely during the open transfer market periods unless such a transaction would be a prohibited transaction, such as buying or selling multiple players to a pro challenge team. There's an example in there. I won't read it. Hopefully you guys have all read it. Discuss.
Oh, that's one point of order, Preach. I forgot
Yep.
to. I didn't notice this. Remember, I amended this based upon Seston's suggestion to include the one sentence that's currently still under 4.1. I'll tell you exactly what it is. Where it says Pro Cap TV teams are prohibited from selling any players to any other. Wait. Yeah, that was the one, right? Prohibited from selling. Yeah.
Sounds like.
Okay.
I can't remember stuff from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's because this one just addressed the purchasing, and since it's supposed to be all inclusive and replace all of the text for 4.1, I forgot to include that one sentence. It said, prohibited from pro cap TV teams are prohibited from selling any players to any other teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds like something I would say.
Okay.
So is this the one that basically, if you're a pro team in season 5 and you set out season 6, but you buy one player in season 6, you are automatically shot down to the farm TV camp, right? That's what it is. This that one?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Oh, definitely not in favor of that.
Why not?
Because like your pro teams are allowed one transfer or you're allowed to buy one player every year, every season as
Every
a pro
tra-
team.
Yep.
Yeah,
Currently.
every time the transfer market opens.
Right.
So if you set your team out for a season, and you don't play them in the farm, the benefit is that you get to bring them back at a pro TV.
Correct. That's how it is now.
Yeah, that rule's still intact. Yeah,
The,
even with the revision.
Yep. The antithesis of that is, let's say I sit the grunts out for season 6, and I buy a player at the end of this year, and then I sit him out for season 7, and I buy a player, and then I sit him out for season 8, and I buy a player, and I sit him out for season 9, and I buy a player, and now I'm going to bring him back in at the pro cap, having bought 4 new players.
Well, first you had to have the money for that, but I thought we already had that was wrong.
No, I thought the current rule right now is that you can do that. You can do every season. You can do one every season.
Man, I was making really good points and my phone turned off.
Yep, it sure did.
Okay, I'm going to start over if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Because I don't know where I cut off at. So if you set your team out for a season, so let's say the Reptile Dysfunction, they're in this season, they're going to set out next season and come back in season 7. Well, if I don't play in the farm, I get to use the pro cap. But if there's no way for me to keep up with the other teams in the league if I can't even get a player, like if I can't even buy a player to the team. So as long as I only buy one every season, I don't see the problem. I know you're trying to build dynasties and stuff like that. I just want to build a team that's going to win. I mean, that's just me. So if I think the Dysfunction are going to have a chance that year, I'll bring them back. But there's no incentive for me to not play them in the farm if that's the case. Because 2 seasons go by, whatever their team value is, the farm team value cap's probably going to have caught up with them. I mean, I set the Dysfunction up for 1 season, and the farm TV cap caught up with them last season. So I think being able to buy at least one player every year for that team you should still be able to keep your pro status. That's just me.
Where'd you get the money? Because you can't sell guys.
Yeah, you get no money from games as well.
Right, so you would lose money. That's another thing. So if you don't have the cash, you couldn't do it anyway, right?
Yeah, I think the max will be one player for every team
Right.
that sits
So
out.
I may not be able to buy a player 2 seasons in a row without bringing them back. But if I have the money, I should be able to. Or maybe I'm setting them out for season 7, and Don Eagle's like, well, I'm going to sell Wade, but I'm not playing with the Dysfunction that year. But I want to bring him back. Well, I may buy Wade that year and then not buy a player next year and then come back.
Yeah, that should be allowed.
Yeah. I think if you buy at least one player every year, no matter what, as long as you don't play in the farm, you should keep your pro status.
Especially since it's going to be hard to do with the money requirement already.
Yeah, it's not.
So you had to retire the season that you played with
Right.
bank.
Yeah, if you have 300,000 gold in your bank account, that's one thing. But I know that I don't. So I think that I think it's unfair. I think we should be able to pick and choose when we take our like. A player may not be available next season when you're going to bring them back that you want for the team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and originally I had this rule as not requiring it that it be in the same season. Like it was just to limit you to one, but you could do it in any season other than the one that you were registered for.
But also,
So the reason I changed it was I think Preach expressed that he would rather it be the same season you come back, and I think that had to do with he could speak for himself, but I think it had to do with the ability to enforce it. Like it just becomes a lot. Yeah, the record keeping becomes a lot easier and more accurate.
and I'm not sure how many pro teams can buy 3 players in 3 years and not play any games to get any money. So I don't know that it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a bit useless. I don't see teams buy 2 or 3 players.
Thundon, you had something?
Yeah, just from my point, I think I like the original proposal, and to be fair, I would have probably said, yeah, I'm going to vote for it, until I'd heard the last part about, well, these teams aren't going to have the cash to buy these players anyway, and from a policing point of view, surely it makes it easier if we just say, well, you can use the gold that you've got left over from the pros, but you can't play any games in the farm. End of. So that's my only thing.
Shots, you were trying to say something a little bit ago.
Yeah, I was just waiting my turn. I think for one of these things, it's not an issue that we have right now. I think maybe once the league hits a hard cap or something, some other things change, a rule may be required at this time. If a person has that much gold that they saved up over the course of a season, that's for them to decide what to do with. I don't think it's going to be an issue because if somebody is holding a lot of gold, they're probably going to bring in one ridiculously great player or something like that. They're not going to go through and buy, 4 line rats with wrestle on them or something like that. Generally, somebody that's going to be stockpiling gold is only going to want to do that one large transfer. I just don't think that the bookkeeping is worth trying to protect the league against something that we haven't seen an issue with.
Can I ask one question from both Shots and Breach? Because after I started to discuss with Breach the policing aspect of it, it makes me wonder now, is there a way to track, like for instance, I did a transfer with TMNL under the current rules as they stand now and did my one right after this last season, and they're sitting. So if like in 2 years I was to bring them, what's the best? I mean, is there a good way to police whether somebody's done like? For all you know, I could have said, yeah, they're going farm, right? And I submit the transfer ticket to the farm, and I do like multiple transfers with them, and then I don't actually play any farm games. And then later on in 2 seasons, I'm like, oh, you know what? I guess I am going to come in. Is there a good way to police that?
We just look at the last game you played, and yeah, just look at the last game that you played, which should be an MML game. There should be no farm games between there. And then we would basically look at that roster at that time versus the one you got right now.
Yeah, Preach, that's something that doesn't work.
No?
Because friendlies are also listed as in the games.
Well, they are.
We'd be able to tell, though, if it was a friendly, though.
How?
Right.
You can't see it, that it's a friendly.
There would be no SPP list.
Yeah, we don't care about
Yeah,
friendlies.
there is a SPP list.
But there wouldn't be any gained.
No, but then you have to calculate. Yeah, okay, then maybe you could do that. See at the end
It's
of the
more
game
work.
what the SPP is, but then you have to watch the whole game because when they gain SPP in the match, you don't see that yet on the roster.
We could make a competition that's just to store MML teams that are in hiatus.
That's called the farm.
That's good.
No.
Yeah, but
like,
if it's in the farm, then you question whether or not he had matches or not. But if he's just,
right.
Just storage bin, team storage bin.
Like the cryo freeze chamber.
Yeah.
Sitting out.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think now that as I'm saying it out loud, I don't think there's going to be people that are going to try to cheat the system like that. But
Well, TMNL bought a guy, right? How much money do you still have left?
no, I don't have enough anymore. I bought a guy and I had 90,000 left, and then I bought a new skink. So now I only have 30,000 left. But technically, I had 90,000. That's not enough to.
Yeah, so you could have bought a level 2 skink.
Yeah, I could have bought a level 2 skink.
All right. Any other discussions on this one? No.
My only thought on it would be like maybe you'd see especially with an elf team or something, you come in real top heavy, then you get your money up enough just to swap out, say, all of your unskilled linemen for a wrestler or a dodge player for everyone. But I don't know if that's really worth policing or not.
Is there any exposure we have now that we have? I know new teams. We said new teams coming in have to have a full 11-man roster. But do we have any exposure here for teams, returning pro teams who now have the ability to come back with journeymen?
Well, they never had a game, so they're still stuck with those journeymen.
And they would still be a returning team, so they'd still be able to use the journeyman then, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And so then, I mean, you could swap out two of your unskilled linemen over the course of,
You could
the
fire.
off
Yeah, you could
season.
fire.
Yeah.
You could
fire
outright
all
fire
of them.
somebody and not even swap them out and bring in one great player.
Well, not even that, but I mean, you could bring in 2 or 3 level 2 players who at least have wrestle. There's a big difference between an elf player with wrestle or dodge and no wrestle or dodge. That would be a huge difference in the support to the top heavy teams that you see come in from the farm.
Right.
That would be my only counter to it.
Yeah, but you can't sell people, I think.
Yeah, it would still be really difficult to come up with the money to do it. I mean, an elf lineman is 70,000, so level 2 is 90. So I mean, to even do 2 players, you're talking about 180,000 gold for an elf team.
And just a simple, to keep us from going too far down rabbit holes, just to bring this back to basically, the current rule is that you're allowed one transfer player. We built the transfer market to allow each pro team to get one transfer player back, right? But then we also have this rule where if you sit your pro team out, they can come back at the pro cap. So what in effect, basically as it stands now, you can have a team that gets more than one transfer player in between the 2 seasons that they play. So are we okay with somebody being able, if they have the money, to add one transfer player in each season that goes on, whether or not they keep playing in those seasons, or do we want to make it one transfer player, you get one shot, that's it, before the next?
I know I'm the one who opened up the further lane of discussion, but I think at that point, if somebody's willing to sit there for 2 or 3 seasons to do it and has planned it out to that point, let them do it. I mean, I don't think we should police it at that point. Yeah,
They're not just sitting there; they brought in another team.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, they're still competing and just biding their time. Sinisterly.
I say let them make only one transfer, but that it could come from any season, not necessarily the season that they're signing up for. That way, the only benefit is that they get to go shopping, but they don't get if there's nobody here, or maybe I like that guy, but I'm hoping somebody will be better next time, and then there's not somebody better next time, then too bad.
I would be okay with amending it to that rule if that's the one that everybody prefers. But again, I'm concerned because Preach said that
the record keeping. Yeah. So I still think that they should only get one. So I'm going to vote for you, unless somebody changes my mind.
Shots.
Well,
There was a second part of the proposal, I think, that we did discuss.
Oh, what was that?
Farm teams can freely, without any involvement of the MML, do transfers. I don't know if
that's how it is now.
Yeah, they already do.
That's how it
That's
is
not a
now.
change.
Okay. Okay.
Shots, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, it's still one of these things where I think it's extremely difficult for teams to go and sit on the sidelines for multiple years and come back and still be competitive. If somebody is taking this route and going this way, I don't think it's worth with the policing of that, and even when they come back, you know, that I think it's going to be difficult enough that waiting 2-3 seasons just to get those additional players, it's almost to the point where they would be further ahead just going from the farm to pro cap. So I don't think the rule is required to prevent something that we haven't had done, and you know, that's my view on it.
Everybody knows how I feel about, I'm not. A lot of people are like, oh, we want to see the same team year in, year out and create dynasties. That's not really my thought process. And I want to be able to go to the farm and build a team and bring them in. And the way this is worded, so if I decide this season to build a farm team, then for next season, I can enter them in, but I can only grab one player. And I still have to go farm to pro TV cap. There might be 2 players that I've saved up money to get, and I can't get now because I'm only allowed 1 player the season before my pro season. So
If you're raising farm to pro, you can make as many trades as you want.
Yeah,
not the way
that's
this
not
reads.
effective.
I thought this read, if you're farm to pro, if you can only get 1 player the year before in the transfer market.
No,
before.
that's
No.
if you're returning pro.
If you're registered. But if you're registered, the way it reads, if you're registered as a pro team, is that not right?
That's all. No,
No.
that
No,
caught
no.
me for a
You
second.
aren't registered as a pro team until you get your ticket to join the pro.
All
So
teams
you are still
entitled.
registered as a farm team.
Look, it's 2 parts rule. It actually is supposed to simplify. It says the first part is all teams entitled to the pro TV cap may purchase 1 player from the farm.
If you're a farm to
During
pro,
the-
you're not entitled to a farm to farm. If you're a farm to pro, you are not entitled to the pro TV cap. Therefore,
Yep.
you can get as many players as you want.
Gotcha.
It's that simple.
This is
I don't
only
have
pro
as much-
teams. That's it.
I don't have as much of a problem with it, but I still wouldn't vote for it.
All right, I'm going to make a motion for sake of time to I'm going to make a motion to table this, or I'm going to make a motion to. What does anybody want to discuss this further? Do I get a second
I
for?
think we should vote. I think we should vote, Breach.
Yeah,
I think
vote.
we've heard this enough.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so too.
Motion.
I'll
to-
second the vote.
All right. Preach is we'll do random. Let's go, Donnie.
No.
Seston.
Yes.
So yes, pass.
Yeah, I'm
Donnie
sorry.
is a no pass. Shots.
No.
Preach is a
You
no.
only get 1.
Yeah. Thunden.
Is a yes with a caveat if it's able to be policed.
Okay. Jest.
Yes. Close call.
Hez.
No.
Rez.
No.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 no passes and 3 passes. Not passed.
I don't have a problem with that. If you saved up that much money, then you were sucking all over your last season anyway. So
Yeah, at the end, I was really just starting to focus more on what the policing aspect. My thought
Yeah.
process. That was my biggest.
Okay, so for sake, we got a little bit here. We'll go with our last big one, and that is 10:05 postseason schedule submitted by NTB. It's quite lengthy. Do I need to read it for anybody's benefit?
basically, every round was for 5 days. Right.
Essentially, it provides.
Semifinals and the finals were like a weekend, basically, weren't they?
Yeah, it
Oh
provides.
yeah, the finals had to be on the weekend.
So I'll read the first 2 because it's pretty short. So coaches to make the playoffs between blah blah blah. So week 8. So we end the regular season week 7. We get week 8 to play your quarterfinal match. So those games happen in the week. Then the semifinals take place between midnight of Friday and midnight of Sunday. So basically you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to play the semifinals, and then you have the final that following week. That's
Okay, so the first one is still a full week then. That's
Yes,
That's not
yes.
as bad as I thought. Okay.
the bulk of it is done in one. So week 8 is your quarterfinals, right?
Okay.
And then you have 3 days for the semi.
Wait,
and-
Preach, the way it's written is Friday. It says it goes to Friday.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah.
not a full week.
it's not a full week. Remember, we
Yeah.
discussed this last time. It's not a full week.
Not a full week. You have a work week. How about that? 5 days.
Yeah. So will that go? I'm sorry. All right. I'm gonna wait for discussion.
Go ahead. That's discuss.
Okay. So this is my area of concern is that if we're not enforcing the East-West divisions, right, or we're not keeping them separate, then we would have an issue where during a weekday, somebody with a 6 hour, now it's not as bad with Shaky leaving, but there'll be a 6 hour time difference up to between somebody who makes the playoffs, and their opponent, and they have to fit that in during a workday.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to have a Saturday and a Sunday available for every round, so that it's easy to schedule matches.
So you're talking
Exactly where I'm at. I just think the timelines are too short on this. I see where he's coming from. He's coming from a good place, but the timelines are just too short. And myself, being someone who values diversity, and that's why I voted nay against the East-West split. I see. I forget who was talking just earlier, but this alongside that could make more sense. But this without the previous rule, which I voted nay on, I think it's just too short. It doesn't give enough flexibility for our coaches to be able to get the games in.
I agree.
People have other lives as well.
We're in a rush too. Like, it seems like we're always in a rush to start the next season. I think a better solution would be just to set a firm start date for the next season, right? That way, if you need to give an extra 2 or 3 days to a team to finish the championship game, you can, because you know the exact start date of the next season.
Here's the
Why
problem.
don't we just give a week for each match the same way that we do? So postseason would be 3 weeks.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
That's
with that.
half as long as a regular season. And
Yeah.
like Shots
Well,
pointed. Let's Shots
3
pointed out.
games were played.
Everybody's in such a hurry to get to the next season, but there's okay to have a break between the seasons. It's not like we have to be playing every week. I understand it's half as long as a regular season, but at the same time, it's good to have a break where I'm not having to schedule, like Tuesday nights are the best nights for me to play. And for 7 weeks, every Tuesday night, I've got a match to play. It's nice to have a break. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, but Hez, think about this. If you don't make the playoffs, that's a 3 week break. I mean, if you don't play the game or if you don't, if you're not in the league for.
In the farm,
We
I
got
can
the
play,
farm.
Other leagues. There's all kinds of stuff to do. I don't understand why we're in such a hurry all the time to start the next season. Like, I get it, but we need a break. Like, even if I was a champion, right, I wouldn't want to win the championship and then start the next season the very next week. I'd still want a little bit of a break, but I'm not going to complain because I won. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
You'd want to release YouTube videos with the championship trophy.
yeah. Give me time to finish the parade before I start next season.
I think the main problem with the playoffs was that nobody really knew when the games were being played and what the end date would be. So it would just drag on. People would be asking, when can we start? But if we can set a fixed date, then maybe it would be...
What if we did that, guys? Let me just throw this out there. What if we amended this to just be 1 week from the time of like the start of that round? I guess. So it doesn't necessarily even have to go a full 3 weeks. Like if the week, let's say week 7 week 7, right? Week 7 ends, right? You have 1 week to play it, but let's say everybody completes, like the last game is played on that Friday. Then you could say, all right, now everybody has 1 week to complete this round from Friday. This way, it doesn't have to take a full 3 weeks, but everybody gets a full week to play their games.
I'm just for everybody knowing that the MML is a 10-week a season, and the MML is 10 weeks. 7 of it's regular season, 3 of it's postseason. And I'm just in favor of that. I don't think we need to overcomplicate.
Yeah, with just like a fixed date when the next season starts.
Just a quick question. Didn't we have the problem that in between the seasons, and I think this has happened a couple of times now, where we finished the playoffs, we finished the final, and then there's a little bit of a lag before starting the next season, which is cool, but I think it's been over a week before. I think that's what, yeah.
And there's a good the reason for that is very clear. People don't accept their tickets.
Right.
I mean, that's that for. So I know this goes beyond what we're really talking about here in a schedule, but the reason for what Thunden just said is that people don't accept their tickets. They just don't. I mean, I have emails upon emails, hundreds of emails. When does it start? When does it start? When am I going to get my ticket? When am I going to get? I won't call out names, but I can call out names of people who sent me a minimum of a dozen, and I get a little worked up about this. A dozen emails every day, multiple times a day. When am I going to get my ticket? And by God, when I gave them their ticket, they didn't accept it. 5 days later, they accepted their ticket. That's the problem. The problem in the lag is that people do not accept their tickets, and I'm not very forgiving of those people who express interest and interest and interest and interest, and then I finally give them their ticket and they don't accept it. They're the first people to go. I'm off my soapbox now.
Do we have, just in case, I don't know if because NTB is the writer, he'd have to approve any amendments to this. But I would suggest, it doesn't seem like anybody's going to vote to pass this motion as is, but yeah, at least I would vote for it if it was 1 week for each round of the playoffs, but that week can start upon the completion of the last game for a
Well,
particular
here's
round.
what I heard. I think what I'm hearing is that we're all in agreement of this concept, but not necessarily this language or the constraints as written. I think we could all say we want the playoffs to move. We want them to move as expediently as possible, but we want them to move smoothly. And I don't know if it's Hez or somebody else said, we also want them to be publicized. I think that was a problem last season, is that nobody really knew when a game was going down, and then all of a sudden a game happened, and then people are scrambling to watch. Now some games they did and some games they didn't, but I think those are the three big things. Like we want it to go fast, but we don't want it to be overwhelming that nobody knows when games happen. And that type of thing. That's what I'm getting from the discussion. Maybe somebody gets something else, but that's what I've picked up.
That makes sense.
I have an idea for that. Why don't one of us take charge of the postseason and put the group together? For each match, put together both players and an announcement team, like the same way that I do with Dignity. You guys have all played. So, I put together a group and bring everybody together and find a time when it can be done, and then we can actually use your timetable thing on the website to post when the match will be.
All right. So let's I like that. Let's go with something like that. Let's go with that. Let's discuss that. But let's make a motion to do something with this proposal first.
Well,
All right, so I move the vote.
I was going to try and write up a proposal this week about
Can we
the playoff.
table it and
involve
ask NTB to change the language?
Well, I think, Don, I think what Preach may have been saying is like this as it, there's nothing wrong with this as it is. If it doesn't pass, that's fine. We can just come up with something more comprehensive later. But for now, let's
Okay.
vote on the motion as it is.
Okay.
I have 2 cents I want to add first. Though.
Please.
Before we vote, I think timelines are great. Timelines are wonderful. But I don't know if anybody here is comfortable kicking a team out of the playoffs if they can't make that timeline with good reason.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is part of this proposal as well.
That was my 2 cents. That's all I had.
All right.
Cool. I'll move the vote on the motion as it's written.
I'll second to vote.
All right. Since you seconded, Seston, pass, no pass.
No pass.
Serious?
No pass.
Don?
No pass.
No pass. Thunden?
Nay.
Shots?
Nay.
Preach is a nay. Hez?
Nay.
Rez?
Nay.
A unanimous no pass.
I would like to say that if NTB is listening, we're trying to think up a way to do something along that line to speed it up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, we like this. I mean, I'm not hearing that everybody hates this. It's just we want to do something in the spirit of what this is getting at, is what we're trying to say, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Next we have, so that is all of our discussion. We move on to submissions from coaches at large and the general public. Does anybody have anything they want to submit?
I have a general comment.
You want to
If
save it
that's
to
okay.
you want to save it to miscellaneous business, or you got something now?
I think it's just it's really quick, and I just want to.
Go.
It probably fits
Go.
now. So we've had various proposals in the last couple of meetings brought up, and most of them have failed. And I think that's a good thing, because it shows that, like, you know, we as a league are constantly trying to improve and look for ways to improve. But I think at least Shots has said this, and a few other people, like, sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it also shows that what we're doing so far is probably the best way to go forward. You know, like, it basically, for anybody that complains and says, like, oh, this needs to be better, this could be better, it's good. It's good. We've tried to find ways to better some things, and so far we haven't found something better. So it says something good about the way that things are functioning now.
Yep. Okay, I have a submission or a proposal I'm going to put out. I could have done it up in my section, but I'm going to do it here because I want to sponsor. So this is proposal 1008, and it's very simple. And I didn't put it on the agenda, I'm sorry, but it's literally one sentence, and that is, bonus team value is capped at 150 bonus team value per coach.
That sounds good.
I'll second that.
Yep, sounds good.
I'll sponsor. Yeah, second sponsor. You're the writer of this one, Preach?
I'm the writer of this one. I know I don't need a sponsor, but I'm asking for one, and I got two. So
No, you do need if this one's a proposal, this is a rule proposal. So yeah, you need a second. So you got it.
I'm gonna make.
Preach, could I move to vote on this now, or to consider it now at this meeting?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to move to consider it now.
I'll second that. That
Okay.
sounds good.
And discuss.
I do have one quick question.
Yes.
Things that aren't really tallied onto your coach name, like what's it called? The racial bonus thing. Does that count in that 150, or could I have 150 and then plus that 40?
Nope. So wherever your bonus team value is coming from, the cap is
It
150.
caps it.
Yep. So let's say for whatever reason you have 120, and you want to bring in a team that qualifies for the 40 racial diversity, you don't get 160. You only get 150.
Well,
I have a.
once everybody's at that 150, then your racial diversity isn't going to mean anything.
I'm also working on another proposal that revamps the bonus team value, but I don't have it done for today.
By the way, I have a question. What is the highest BTV right now in the league?
I'd have to look. I want to say 120, 110, 120.
Okay, so nobody's going to be prejudiced really by this directly at least.
Not
Not
immediately,
yet.
no.
Not immediately,
Right.
no.
Okay.
In fact,
that's
it
good.
probably won't come into play. Probably won't come into play until season 6 or 7. But I do want to put it in as a stopgap in case we do get one or two coaches, because there are some coaches that could win the championship and they could bring a racial team in, and it could get pretty astronomical for a couple of those.
I suppose
Yeah,
I might be able to reach 150 if I.
Yeah, I came in at 110 this season, and Dignity did last season as
Yeah.
well.
No, well,
I think,
the only reason
110,
I just asked that, I only asked that because I didn't think it would be fair if somebody, let's say, was entitled to 180 and then we're just cutting it out from under them because they may have done planning to get there or whatever.
No.
But since that's not an issue right now, that's good. I'm good with this.
I think Donnie's trying to talk. I saw Shots trying to
No,
talk.
I'm not.
Okay, Shots,
No,
you
I'm
just something?
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask for a little clarification on the when you win a title, you got a certain amount of TV bonus that could be used. It was like a one-time use amount.
Yes.
How much was that?
So the Hall of Famer, right? If you became a Hall of Famer, you got 100. You got 100 disposable team value to use, and I'd have to go reread the verbiage, but I think that would. But basically, you got a bank. You were given a bank of 100 team value to deplete as you saw fit, but once you used it, it was gone.
Yeah.
So would you be able to use that to go past 150?
I'd have to read how that particular Hall of Fame thing was written. but I don't think we'll have any Hall of Famers yet.
Well,
What do you
my
mean?
thought my thought process on it was simply this: maybe put a Hall of Fame cap. You can use the Hall of Fame to go 50 above the 150 hard cap or something like that. And that way, if a coach is going to be Hall of Fame, they're probably going to be close to that cap already.
Right.
It still allows them a little bit of a bonus for their service and ability to be the Hall of Fame coach or that.
Right.
So I just one small idea to kind of float there. Otherwise, it may just be one of those where the Hall of Fame is just simply a honorary title.
Okay. I will. I'll take a look at the Hall of Fame.
I want it to be easier to get farm teams into the pro, and I think that hampers them for coaches that have been in it for a while.
Well, I want it to be harder for Hez to get any team into the pro. So
I like to be able to switch. I don't like. I'm non-committal. I don't like to commit to a team for the rest of my life. So I like to be able
Me
to
too.
halfway through the season be like, I'm going to play this team next season, and if I have 180 TV, I'm going to want to use it to get my farm team up. So I mean, that's just me. I'm sure a lot of coaches feel that way too, but I like to.
Can
I like
somebody
there to be less barriers to get farm teams into the pros because I don't like the fact that you get so rewarded for playing the same team every season because I like to switch it up.
Well, I don't.
And that's okay. And that's okay. That's okay.
I would prefer that the league formally send a letter to Hez's address letting his female companion know he's not
I'm stuck. I mean, she's having a baby, and she tells me it's mine. So
Congrats again, man.
You do realize you're on Twitch right now.
I don't care.
okay. Is there any motion to vote or more discussion?
Just I don't think she's watching.
Hey, Preach, where can I find the? I can't find it in the rules and regs. The Hall of Fame.
It's because Hall of Fame isn't in a rule or a reg. It's its own thing. You just have to do a search for Hall of Fame. I'll post the link.
Voting this year, aren't we?
Say again.
We vote this season on Hall of Fame, don't we?
Yep.
What is the hard cap for as far as the pro going up?
When or what?
What?
I don't know.
I want to see what percentage this 150 is of what the of what the pro cap will be when it reaches its top, its ceiling.
Are you on a merry-go-round?
No, there's an ice cream man outside.
Oh, so that's to live the dream, man.
Right?
Ice cream.
Yeah,
Oh, ice cream.
it's Mexican ice cream.
Mexican ice cream.
Yeah.
Even
Arriba.
better.
To answer, I don't know, Sesson. I'd have to look.
Okay.
For me, I think 150 bonus TV. That's quite a big differential for being around a long time, getting a few accolades or whatever. That sounds like a nice cap to me. Particularly, I think it says hit on a good point. It's likely to be just over 5% of the final hard cap or something like that.
Right.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I'm good with it. I think that's.
Well,
I'm
at
probably
1500, it would be 10%, so it's going to be, around 5 or 8% or something.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty much near that cap now. I'm good with that. I think if it gets too much more than that, it's going to become unwieldy, a bit bloaty, and then I think it really damages new coaches coming in, and we want to keep on having that fresh blood come in.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that the racial diversity would be better if it still added on to that, because otherwise, once we all meet that 150, then there's no more point to try and bring in something that's not here.
I'm working on something that will, number one, address that, and number two, still offer incentives for people who are at the bonus team V cap. So stay tuned for that.
All right. Well, even if it didn't count that, I still think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I just think that,
I'm gonna make
Motion
them.
to-
I'm sorry. So I got disconnected, but I missed it. Does the Hall of Fame? Did we commit to whether the Hall of Fame allows you to go beyond the 150 or not?
We didn't discuss. As written, it does.
As written, it does. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm ready to vote if everybody else is.
Yeah. Thunden made a motion to vote already. I'll second.
Oh, cool.
I'll just go down the line. Preach is a pass. Thunden.
Is a pass. with putting a limit on. Yeah.
Shots?
I'll go with a pass.
Seston?
Pass.
Jest?
Pass.
Don?
Pass.
Hez?
No.
Rez?
Pass.
It is a majority of the quorum. That is a pass. Congrats, you guys did your first legislative thing.
Yay!
Not me.
Wes wants his bonus TV to keep growing and growing until it's the same as the cap.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so unfinished and miscellaneous business. Thundon and Don, how much time you guys got?
I've got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Okay. Don, you had brought up the playoff structure. You wanted to talk in general, so you have the floor.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit already with the two proposals. We just need a way to either make the playoffs faster or make it so that we have a fixed date to start the playoffs on, so that we and the tickets that go out. So I'm open to any idea to write a proposal to fix this.
I think Preach brought up the really relevant thing. I don't think the playoffs or the final are a problem. It's the tickets afterwards and the delay that happens between seasons. Everyone's cool with a week, that's fine, but I think it's been like up to 3 weeks sometimes, and
Right.
it just has a staggered effect. I'm sure we might lose some new coaches who come in looking for the season, and it's just like, well, hold on, what's going on? We need to. I know you get peed off, Preach, with all the ticket requests and stuff like that. We need to find a way to be able to communicate better and make it clear.
Right. What if, this just came to mind, I'm just going to throw this out. I know we just talked about bonus team value. I know we just talked about capping it. I know I said I'm working on something else. Not that anybody else can't work on anything as well, but I'm just saying I got something that I'm trying to think up. But what if we offered an incentive for accepting your ticket, I'll say early, or within a time frame of getting the ticket? Because oftentimes it's not, like when I go to send out tickets, I'll say I'm sending out tickets Tuesday, and I'll sit down and I send out those suckers in bulk. Like I go through the list and like I send them all out at one time per play pool or per division or whatever. So everybody that's eligible to get one is getting one. The problem is that their team either isn't ready or they get one they don't accept. What if we offered some sort of incentive? You know, I don't know, a lot of the leagues like offer, you know, $10 off if you sign up early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your incentive for accepting your ticket within a reasonable time period should be that you get to play.
Well, unfortunately, that is the incentive. The problem is
And
that
it's
oftentimes I don't have teams. I don't have more teams. Well, that's the other problem. If they don't accept their ticket and I got to replace them, now I got to pull somebody up from the Challenge League and I got to figure out who that is, and then I got to put them. Then I got to talk to them to see if they'll be able to fit into that. And that takes time. And then when they get the okay, I got to make that shift. And then only after that shift is done, I got to find somebody to go into the Challenge League to fill that spot, and then I got to talk to them to see who's going to go into that spot. And by meantime, we're 3 days down the road.
Preach, I don't know if it's possible, but can you send out tickets earlier?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the season for next season?
Sure.
All the registered teams already send out, and they only accept when they're ready for it. Like if it's a Farm to Pro team, they accept when they're ready for it. But
Here's what
the other teams can already accept.
I can do that. I'll tell you that. Here's what
Did that last year already.
I did that last year, and here's what happened 90% of the time. I sent those out, and they're like, "So when's the last day I have to accept my ticket? When's the last day? Because I need to go on a bike ride and get my hair dyed and learn the piano and learn to play the tuba before I accept my ticket."
Yeah, that's Farm to Pro probably then.
Yeah, because they're trying to get those last games in.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no solution for it.
Well, hopefully, Discord's at everyone function will help a little bit, just with the people that forgot or aren't thinking about it.
Yeah.
Very true. Discord could change the game, because then you don't, like, for some people they weren't functioning off the app, and so you had to wait until they actually. Like,
or they were, but you told everybody on the app, and it was pages and pages ago.
Right.
Right.
Discord puts a flag, so at least everybody will know that they were sent a ticket.
Would it be a benefit to have an expiration date, like a hard expiration date on tickets? Basically going, if you do not accept it by this point,
Yeah.
your ticket's revoked and it will be replaced. If you
Yes,
want, you can
probably.
take a spot in the challenge league. If you didn't take your challenge league, you're back to the farm, and just simply take that kind of approach where it's like everybody has a date, they all know it. It's not it's not like any favoritism. It's just a hard date. We need everything set by this so that we can move forward.
I would be fine with that as long as we're okay with losing some pro coaches, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think we need to make sure that we keep the dialogue open as well, right? We don't want to be too draconian in what we're doing. It's like, okay, well, if you can't get to a point where you can get to your console and accept your ticket, get in contact with us, email us, and we can be understanding on that.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we're out to get anybody out, but at the same point, like I said, literally, there was a few people. I think Bort was one of them. I'll call him out by name, but I mean, the dude was traveling. I mean, he literally couldn't get to his console, but he sent me multiple messages and let me know, and I was tracking it the whole way, and it's not a big deal. If you compare that to some of the other coaches, like, oh yeah, I'll accept it, just give me the ticket, and then they're anyway. I'm not gonna get in my soapbox again.
I like Shots' idea of a fixed date. Tickets go out at that date, and you have to accept at that date. And if you can't accept, contact us, and we'll discuss.
Yeah, and then Discord, when you tell them the tickets are sent out, give the expiration date at the exact same message so that they see both.
We can do that.
By the way, nobody here is like averse to like if especially since the playoffs it involves 8 games. Is that right? 8 games at a time in week 1.
7.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that. So since there's only 8 games in that one, and maybe and 4 the next week and stuff, like if people get their games done earlier in the week, nobody's averse to saying let's start the next round early, right?
No.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page on that one.
The playoffs are 4 games, then 2, and then the finals.
Yep.
Oh, it's only 4. Okay.
But then you have bowl games as well.
Oh yeah, you got bowl games. Okay, cool.
And I would be in favor. I mean, we've done it before. This is how we've done it every season, but it's never worked out this way. And that is bowl week, meaning this is bowl week. Play your bowl games this week. But then people are like, we can't play until 3 weeks down the road. So I think in all subsequent seasons, bowl week is bowl week. If you get a bowl game, you got a whole week. Just like you would have a whole week to play your regular season game. Play your bowl game. If you can't get it in, you just don't get a bowl game.
It's still part of our season.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. Like it's a much worse scenario where you replace a playoff team. You know what I mean? Because that kind of just changes the, that changes a lot more. It just has a bigger implication. But if somebody's slacking on playing their bowl game, man, switch them out. Give somebody else the bowl game.
Well, yeah, that would be okay, and I'm cool with that. If those teams aren't already off at the farm doing whatever, or making transfers and doing all the stuff that they want to get done.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Right. And that's why people may want to hold off on doing that. If you're a border team that just missed the bowl game, you might know, hey, anything could happen. Maybe I better not touch my team. Until...
Well, if we're gonna force bowl week, then we don't need to open the transfer window until bowl week is over.
Yep.
Because the entire postseason championship thing, that's not going to happen in 1 week. Because the winner of that has to play 3 matches.
Yeah, and Preach also, I think he also mentioned though, like some people might say, well, I'm done. I'm pulling this team out of the pros, and I'm just gonna make them a farm team. They start farming with them. But those people might want to just hold off, knowing that anything could happen.
Right.
If that's the case, I think it would be a benefit to designate 2 or 3 teams that are like, okay, you're runner-up, everybody else is cut loose.
Oh, that's yeah, do that.
Yeah, because there are obviously some teams that shouldn't have a bowl game. What are you doing there, Rez? Pouring concrete?
As I'm thinking about it too, since I compile the individual records, it would probably really do me and then the league indirectly a service to make them leave their teams in there for a week anyway, so I can make sure nobody pulls their people out early or whatever. Or not for a week, but
Sorry about that. Unplugged my mic on accident.
You're fine.
No, never mind. Because once somebody pulls it out, it messes it up. So forget that. Sorry, thinking out loud.
All right. So the moral of the story is, we want to discuss.
Guys, 2-minute warning. Sorry.
Yep, we want to discuss postseason. There's a few of us. There's a work group. We'll be working towards. That.
Yeah.
So it's a 2-minute warning. Does 2 weeks down the road at this particular time work for everybody again?
Yes.
No, I will not
No.
be here in 2 weeks. I'll be in Florida.
What is 2 weeks?
You're not bringing your phone to
One
Florida?
more than one.
Well, I will be occupied.
October 16th.
Okay.
I'm
I'll
good
be
for 2
playing a
weeks.
children's card game.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Okay,
Hope
so
you know.
I'm away that weekend with the missus.
all right, so let's instead of spending time now, we'll work it out over the next week, this coming week, time we can get
Okay.
together. Okay, cool. Is there any other unfinished or miscellaneous business we need to get to?
I'm going to speak in probably the board chat about podcast and trying to get it up and running again, and basically getting a rota to try and share the workload on it.
Yep. Yeah, and
I'm
that's
100%
Give everyone a
on
heads
board
up.
with that. You can lock
Yep,
me
would
in
be perfect.
as always helping, Thunden. I will always help with the podcast. I love doing the podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Cheers, Hez. Appreciate it, man.
I'm down too.
Yeah, me
Thanks,
too.
guys.
Sure, me too.
okay. Anything else? I make a motion to recess. Not recess. Conclude.
Adjourn.
Adjourn. Thank you.
Second.
Nice one, guys.
All right.
Yay!
Do-do-do.
We passed some.